Imagine you want to talk to God, but there is a massive, heavy door blocking your path. Standing guard at this door are elite priests and strict scholars. They look at you and say that unless you speak perfectly fluent Sanskrit or Arabic, unless you memorize complex ancient texts, and unless you belong to the absolute highest social class, you cannot enter. For a long time in medieval India, that is exactly what religion felt like for the common person. But between the 12th and 17th centuries, ordinary people found a brilliant, beautiful solution. They completely bypassed the door. Welcome to our topic, the Sufi and Bhakti movements. Let's start with a massive shift happening in the Islamic world. As empires changed and strict orthodox schools of thought became the norm, a new mystical strand of Islam began to flow into India. This was the Sufi movement. While orthodox scholars were focused on strict jurisprudence and theology, early Sufi mystics like Rabia and Mansur al-Hallaj believed in something much simpler: the soul's absolute, intoxicating love for God. When Turks settled in India, they brought the Hanafi school of law, the most flexible of the Sunni schools, making it easier for these mystical ideas to take root. The Sufis didn't isolate themselves in grand palaces. They lived in open lodges called khankas. Anyone, rich or poor, Hindu or Muslim, could walk in, grab a meal, and find peace. They organized themselves into spiritual lineages called silsilahs. At the heart of this was the beautiful relationship between the peer, the master teacher, and the murid, the devoted disciple. When a peer passed away, he would name a successor to keep the chain of guidance unbroken. There were two main flavors of Sufis. You had the Bashara, who strictly followed Islamic law, and the Beshara, who were so lost in their ecstatic devotion that they didn't care much for formal legalism. One of the most famous Sufi orders in India was the Chishti Silsila. It was spearheaded by Khwaja Muinuddin Chishti, who set up his base in Ajmer. His successors like Bakhtiar Kaki and Fariduddin Ganj Shakar became legends. Later, in Delhi, the great Nizamuddin Aulia took things a step further. He believed that music could foster a direct emotional connection to the divine, encouraging the practice of sama, mesmerizing musical recitations that could send people into spiritual trances. Meanwhile, another powerful order, the Suhrawardis, took a slightly different path. Leaders like Bahauddin Zakaria were less focused on extreme poverty and asceticism. They occasionally accepted royal patronage and government service. But just like the Chishtis, they played a massive role in creating social harmony between different communities. But while the Sufis were reshaping Islam, an equally massive revolution was transforming Hinduism. This was the Bhakti movement. Originating in the south around the 7th century, a massive wave of devotion, or bhakti, swept through North and East India. The core idea was simple: you don't need complex, expensive rituals to achieve salvation. You just need pure, unadulterated devotion to a personal deity. And the Bhakti saints had a secret weapon that changed everything: language. Instead of composing their prayers in elite classical Sanskrit, which ordinary farmers and workers couldn't understand, they sang and wrote in local regional languages. Suddenly, religion belonged to the people. Tulsidas wrote the Ramcharitmanas, a beautiful retelling of the Ramayana in Hindi, making the epic accessible to millions. In Rajasthan, a fierce poet named Mirabai poured her heart into singing incredible bhajans devoted entirely to Lord Krishna. Then came a man in Allahabad named Ramananda. He did the unthinkable. He openly opposed rigid caste restrictions and took on disciples from completely different working class backgrounds. His classroom included Sena the barber, Dhanna the Jat farmer, Raidas the cobbler, and most famously, a Muslim weaver named Kabir. Kabir was an absolute powerhouse. Growing up in Banaras, he was influenced by both Hindu and Muslim ideas. But he had zero patience for empty rituals. He ruthlessly roasted the blind orthodox practices of both religions, pleading for the complete removal of social barriers and the reconciliation of Hindus and Muslims. To Kabir, God was simply God, no matter what name you used. Up in the Punjab region, another monumental shift was happening. A man named Guru Nanak completely rejected the caste system and formal rituals, preaching a practical, highly ethical religious life. He established a communal center at Kartarpur, laying the absolute foundation for Sikhism. His successors built upon this brilliant foundation. The second Guru, Guru Angad, standardized the Gurmukhi script. The fifth, Guru Arjan, compiled their holy hymns into the Adi Granth and became a martyr under the Mughal Emperor Jahangir. And finally, in the early 18th century, the fiercely brave 10th Guru, Guru Gobind Singh, finalized the Sikh scripture, the Guru Granth Sahib, declaring it the eternal Guru for all Sikhs. By this time, the spectacular Golden Temple in Amritsar had become the beating heart of the Sikh faith. This explosion of devotion wasn't just limited to the north. Down in Maharashtra, a massive cultural wave was building. Nana Deva wrote a brilliant Marathi commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. Saints like Namdev fiercely attacked idol worship and caste superiority. And the legendary 17th century poet Tukaram sang incredible Abhanga poetry and communal kirtans devoted to Lord Vithoba, laying the social foundation for the entire Maratha identity. In eastern India, a saint named Chaitanya popularized the Krishna cult by taking devotion to the streets, literally dancing and chanting in pure ecstatic joy. Meanwhile, groups like the Nath Panthis, Siddhas, and Yogis took a completely different route, focusing on intense meditation, breath control, and hardcore yogic practices to train their minds and bodies for liberation. The Sufi and Bhakti movements were not just religious phases, they were a massive, spectacular rebellion. Together, these mystics, poets, cobblers, weavers, and gurus looked at the heavy, locked door of elite religion, completely shattered it, and invited the entire country inside.